Welcome to the Ingaged Podcast, the show for business owners who want straight talk on technology, data, and the systems and solutions that keep their companies moving. Each episode tackles a real problem, maps out practical solutions, and delivers proven tactics you can use to choose the right tools and run a profitable business.
Jeff, thanks so much for joining us for the Ingaged Podcast here.
Yep. Thanks for having me. It's a great day here in Las Vegas.
Oh, man, it's crazy. So let's tell the audience a little bit about your company and then how you landed in the home improvement industry.
So I started actually knocking doors when I was 18 years old. It's a company called College Works Painting. I was in college. I went to school at UC Santa Barbara, which I like to think of the Harvard of the West. It was actually the biggest party school on the West Coast. So I did an internship all the way through college where I knocked on doors, ran a small house painting business for the summer. By the time I graduated, I became partners with the guys that owned it. We started expanding that across the country. We created a national company called National Services Group, which actually is secretly my wife's initials, Nicole Cindy Gunhus.
Oh, wow.
And then in that business, we have three brands: the College Works Painting business, Empire Works Reconstruction and Painting that does HOA reconstruction and painting. Mm-hmm. And then Home Genius, we started in 2019, just in Maryland and in Philadelphia. And we went from $2.7 million that first year, and we just wrapped up our fiscal year. We ended up at 279 this year in 15 markets, and lots of runway ahead of us.
That's amazing. And this day of big companies that are being built by just cobbling together, not just, but cobbling together or buying a bunch of others, you've grown organically and you just open those markets.
100% organic, no outside funding, no debt. And we just pour money, the funds back into the business. And we just believe just finding opportunities for people to elevate from within the business. We don't believe there's a place for seniority in business. Just what have you done? What can you do?
Yeah.
I was at a promotion ceremony recently for one of our district managers for a really large portion of our film marketing business. And we were able to celebrate that promotion at the same day we celebrated the kid's 21st birthday. So,
man.
And he's just crushing it.
That's amazing. So with all this change and all this growth in business, the reason I wanted to have you in here is I'm sure you faced tech challenges and identifying your tech stack in order to grow that fast, you have to have technology in the business.
100%.
I can't imagine you don't. Yeah. And so as you're thinking about a new piece of technology, what is the first thing that you think about in terms of the integration of that into the business?
The first thing we think of is we always start off with the idea that we don't want to be tech driven. We want to be tech enabled. So fundamentally, we're a people business. The home improvement industry, if you ever lose sight of the fact that you have to just have a great culture with a high performance culture and focus on the people, you're going to lose your way. So everything piece of technology doesn't make it easier to enable our people to do their jobs, not replacing the folks, but how to make sure their jobs a little bit easier. Then it becomes down to, can we get a rollout through our organization, or we're going to have buy-in to the organization? How do we create a really fun, strong rollout plan and give ourselves time to adopt it all the way through? And third, do we have a partner that's going to work with us? Because we're a little bit unique. I guess everybody thinks they're unique, or we do things a little bit differently. And, the first thing when we talk to our partners, we say, hey, we're probably going to ask you to do things that other people aren't going to ask you to do. Yeah. If you're not comfortable with that, that's fine. We don't have to work together. But if you want to be a partner with us, that'd be great. That's been our relationship with Ingaged since day one. Yeah. You guys have been fantastic of being able to adapt and being open-minded to our changes that our crazy people want to make from time to time.
Well, we appreciate it. And the thing that sets you apart as well and being successful with not just ours, but I'm sure you're successful with all the different technology because of that regimented process is buy-in with your team and then the plan to roll it out.
Yes.
And the most important word you said, time. We do an intake form with all new customers now because we started to realize there was a little bit of a disconnect between sales and delivery and making sure we're all on the same page. And one of the questions we ask at the bottom is, when do you expect to roll this out? And some people are like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, well, just training your team in 2 weeks is going to be a lot. So we try and reset expectations or at least help them understand the real commitment of time that it's going to take for any tech implementation.
Our rule of thumb is that whatever a technology company salesperson says, we 2 or 3x the amount of time we think it's going to take to actually get onboarded and roll it out and slow it down. We also, for some piece of technology, we just by the nature of it, we have to roll it out across the entire ecosystem that we have. we try to, when we can, just do it in 1 or 2 markets and get some champions for it, test it, go through the learning curve of just a smaller group of people, and then roll it out as well. So that's usually helpful.
I love the idea of a champion. So where do your champions sit in the organization? So some people I've heard they sit very high in the org chart. And a lot of times when they're high in the org chart, it looks more like a pushing down rather than a helping.
Yeah.
Where do your champions normally sit?
We're start off with, yes, I have the benefit of having 3 other co-founders, Max Alessi, Austin Killian, and Brett Miller. And so each one of them runs a different region for our business. So one of them will be a technology champion within their region. But we do go down and create a tiger team that we try to go all the way down. So we'll try to find a regional leader, an office leader, and then rank and file. So we have a voice at the table for all those people all the way through. We find that usually the best ideas actually are coming from the rank and file. The guy who's like, well, no, when I press the button, it doesn't work.
That's
like,
right.
That's not what I was told. So it's fantastic having all those people involved.
Early in my career, so this is a long time ago, Palm Pilots, we were working with the California California Highway Patrol, and we built a mobile app to do driver's license lookup over these like antiquated mobile networks. Yeah. All the devices came in broken. And we're like, oh my gosh, the Palm couldn't handle the load. No, the officers were rolling their cars over them behind the tire because no one asked them about the interface on the device.
Yep.
They found it impossible to use.
Yep.
So yeah, if you don't integrate that user into the mix.
100%.
So let's talk about that person, right? So how do you manage it when you do get resistance from that end user, right? You have all the best plans. You have all these great ideas and communication throughout the process. Yeah. But it is that end person who has to use the technology.
100%.
How do you handle the resistance from that person when it does come up?
So we love the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And knowing that having that one accountability, but having open conversations and being able to have a safe space for people to push back and give us feedback. So the first thing is we make sure there's an environment where people can give us that feedback. Second thing is we really kind of dive down into the why. Is it a user experience, a user error sometimes? It's, a lot of times we get, this isn't working. Well, did you press the right button?
Did you watch the training?
It magically works. What do you know? And then we also believe in extreme ownership. So ultimately, if enough people in our teams are having trouble using a technology that we think could really help them, then it's on us. It's our training that we didn't do. So it's not about, hey, they couldn't figure it out. As leadership, we think, oh no, we own that. Obviously, there's enough people that don't get it. So we have to revamp our training, get a better understanding of why they're not bought into it. Because if we're not doing a good enough job of communicating with them. So or they're right. And the thing that we thought would be great just isn't working. And so we have to backtrack.
Absolutely. We've done that. We've canceled contracts and we let them run to the end. And we were like, guys, we tried.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right fit. All of our premises that we assumed were right, were not. And we're going to move on. We're going to do something else. Yeah, it happens. It absolutely happens. So was there ever a time when you had that idea and it did go wrong? Yeah. How did you manage that process? Because it's inevitable that you're not going to bat 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we did try. So there's some of our measurement tools that we have. So we say, hey, we're going to save some money on measurement by teaching everybody how to use an app that comes in much lower cost, but you're drawing roof measurements on a screen instead of buying an Eagle View or a Hover. My idea, this is a great idea. Let's get after this thing. We're going to save them all this money and we're be empowered to make their own measurements. And then, teaching these guys with the measurements, they're fat faring on the iPads and just like your, police officers, all of a sudden, the iPad's not working. So you quickly realize it's just a better experience for our sales team and for our production team and for our installers to have a Hover or Eagle View. So we backtracked away from that and went back to a more expensive, but a better experience by having these different measurement tools.
Now, through that experience, did that inform your process overall? Like, did you think about, okay, this is how we normally deploy technology. Let's actually add another phase or let's re-look at the process because of that?
For sure. Well, because it was also the amount of training that we did was not enough training. And so we didn't do enough. And then by the time we tried to circle back to do more training, we kind of already lost the locker room on it. And because there were some commission reductions if you mismeasure, but the measure it's a hard tool to use. And is it a really hard tool to use? Well, apparently so, because a lot of our guys couldn't figure out how to do it. So that was on me, as a leader to say, hey, I made a mistake. let's, shift back over this direction.
Yeah.
But then in the future, we deploy things. That's when we start having that longer period of time for implementation, for training.
That's right.
More feedback loops.
I mean, I think as leaders, we don't want to be wrong, but it's so important that when we are, we admit it.
Oh, I'm wrong all the time.
Because what happened, well, and also because we're never going to hit.
Yeah.
We're not going to hit every ball out of the park. It's not going to happen. So admitting that, moving on, I think you gain more credibility with the team because they say, oh, wow, I'm allowed to be wrong now too.
Yep.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
We encourage mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, then you're not pushing hard enough.
Yeah.
Is our mentality.
So do you have metrics for each of the tools that you deploy in your tech stack?
Mm-hmm.
Are there numbers that you're looking at, KPIs you're looking at to ensure, yes, hey, we bought this piece of technology to move this number.
Mm-hmm.
We try to do that in our business. Can't do it 100%. But is that part of your equation as well?
It depends on what the piece of technology is. Where a lot of technology right now is going into our inside sales centers. So we are looking at, set rate and set to issue rate. And as we bring in things like a tether or some other robust piece of analytical tools to watch and listen to and help us do better coaching with our inside sales reps, if we deploy the technology but we don't move at all in that number, then what are we doing?
That's right.
We're just replacing people with a technology. We have to see that lift. And so the interesting thing is trying to figure out what should the lift be. That's kind of throwing a dart. You had aspirational targets.
That's right.
But we do track it religiously to know what the metrics are. And sometimes we're doing 2 or 3 different things at one time. So it's hard to give attribution to which piece of technology made the lift.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as long as we get that lift, I'm okay with it. You know? And as long as our feedback we're getting is that, hey, this is, again, tech enablement versus tech driven. People are saying my job's easier. I'm having a better quality of life working here. And we don't really believe in easy at MGS. So it's like, if you have more time, that means you have more time to work and drive harder and get after it. So, we're firm believers that, you don't have a good culture that creates high performance. You have high performance and that creates great culture. And
I love that. That's great. So how do you know when it's time to replace or figure out a new technology solution? Do you have systems in place for that? Is it a gut feel? Somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in between, I think. Sometimes because we're scaling up so quickly, sometimes we just outpace the size and the ability for that company to support what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I mentioned, we ask for a lot of, customization and things. And some people just put their hands up saying, well, we can't really do, that's not really what we do. It's like, well, that's okay. It's like a long-term relationship that we have to have. So having that customization with our partners is a key part of that decision matrix. Is this the right thing for us, or should we move on to something else?
Got it. So one last question for you. For you personally, what is the tech tool, your go-to tech tool that you're kind of in love with today?
Let's see. I love Google Notebook LM. Okay. So have you ever used that before?
I have.
Yeah. So my favorite thing on there is you can put in your information and you can create a podcast between 2 people just discussing the information. So we put in a bunch of information about one of our ELT meetings that we had, our agenda, all the notes from it, all the minutes. And then I just have a press a button and I have a 20-minute long podcast of 2 people talking about the meeting and the takeaways and that sort of thing. It's just a fantastic tool. My kids use it for homework now too.
Yeah.
They'll put together their lessons for the history lessons for the last 2 weeks. And then there's somebody just doing a podcast back and forth on that.
Like a reinforcing of their learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love it. So a lot of people have answered that question with some sort of AI. I like the idea of AI experiments. Like if I'm not experimenting with AI, I feel like I'm going to be really behind. So I haven't done that with LM, but I'm definitely going to check that one out.
That's a good one.
That's awesome. Jeff, thank you so much for coming and spending time with me today.
Great. And hey, thank you and your team for doing so much work for us.
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Ingaged Podcast. If today's conversation helped you level up your business, follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Know someone who'd benefit? Pass it along. While you're at it, drop us a review and visit engaged.io to learn how to create, share, and measure your way to success. Until next time.